day. My name is Cynthia Reddock-Downes. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of the Telecommunications Authority of Trinidad and Tobago. And today I'm going to speak with you about the development of the telecommunications market and industry in Trinidad and Tobago, its impact and its future. I am really pleased to be here at 5G America's Women in Leadership 2024. So I'll start off first of all with a little bit about us, then the concept of universal service, the digital divide and digital inclusion survey outcomes and findings, recommendations from the digital inclusion survey, policies and universal service projects that drive digital transformation and inclusion. So about us. Well, our responsibilities are mainly derived from the objects of the Telecommunications Act, Chapter 4731. And they are creating an open market for telecommunications with conditions for fair competition, ensuring the orderly development of telecommunications to safeguard, enrich, and strengthen society's social, cultural, and economic well-being, protecting and promoting the public interest, particularly in areas of accessibility, affordability, and quality of service, facilitating universal access to telecommunications, encouraging investment in telecommunications, and regulating broadcasting services. So as an authority, we have our vision, mission, and core values. Our vision is to be the leading regulator in the ICT sector, enabling an empowered and connected society. Our mission is we will continue developing a dynamic, collaborative, and progressive ICT environment through efficient service delivery that fosters quality, affordable, universal service, and innovative, sustainable businesses in our digital economy. And of course, we have core values of innovativeness, commitment, integrity, professionalism, and service excellence. And we have in our strategic plan, our strategic deliverables are universal, quality connectivity, sustainability of the industry, organizational effectiveness, and regional harmonization and empowerment. So about Trinidad and Tobago and the ICT market. The authority is recognized as a G4 regulator by the ITU, the International Telecommunications Union. G4 regulation is characterized by integrated regulation led by economic and social policy goals. There are currently no unserved areas in Trinidad and Tobago. However, the results of the digital divide and digital inclusion surveys have shown that there are underserved geographical areas and population groups in the country. So a little bit about us. This is the current state of the Trinidad and Tobago ICT market. We have a population of 1.4 million. We have 2 mobile operators, 99% 3G coverage, 94% 4G LTE coverage, 92% of homes are subscribed to broadband services. We have 63% mobile internet penetration, and 5G micro-deployment is in existence in Trinidad and Tobago. And as you can see from these indicators, we have certainly come a long way over the past few years. Some market statistics as at December 2023. We have details of our fixed voice subscriptions. And in line with many other countries, there is a decline in fixed voice subscriptions over the years between the period 2019 to 2023. Mobile voice subscriptions. Similarly, we've had a little movement down, but our subscriptions are still well in excess of over 2 million, with a population of 1.4 million. Our fixed internet subscriptions have increased substantially from 2019 to 2023, and we are now in the region of 404,400 fixed internet subscriptions. With our fixed internet penetration, as I said earlier on, way above levels that would have been expected for the size of our country. Our subscription TV has been declining a bit over the past few years, and from 2019 to 2023, we've moved from about 250,000 subscriptions down to 216 or 17,000 subscriptions. So the digital divide, why is it important, and what about digital inclusion surveys? The authority conducts such surveys periodically to determine the digital divide gaps and any other ICT conditions in Trinidad and Tobago. The last two surveys, that's the digital divide surveys, were done by the authority in 2007 and 2013. But in 2021, we actually did what we call a digital inclusion survey, which looked well beyond the digital divide. And the results of that survey were made available in 2022, and we're going to talk about the results of that survey. So this might be a little bit difficult to read, but our findings were in relation to ICT usage. And what we found is that 85.7% of our female population used mobile phones, which is pretty high, which is similar to the male members of the population, where we found that 84.2% of them used mobile phones. We also looked at ICT skill indicators, and I'll look at that a little bit more later on. And we found that the majority of the population had basic ICT skills, whereas only a small number had advanced skills. And this slide actually shows you the details of the results of the digital inclusion survey. So, mobile phone ownership by gender. According to the ITU, ownership of mobile phones is an important tool to reduce gender inequality. In Trinidad and Tobago, as I said slightly earlier, females are slightly ahead of males with respect to mobile phone ownership. Females account for 51% of the overall sample respondents. And what we found is that we had 89% of females owning a mobile phone and 88% of males owning a mobile phone. Individuals using the internet. Overall, 79% of the population of Trinidad and Tobago, 5 years and older, use the internet. Internet usage among females as a percentage of the total female population is 85%, compared to 83% among males. We thought we'd also look at household expenditure on ICTs in Trinidad and Tobago dollars, and we can say the Trinidad and Tobago dollar is about 6.7 or 6.8 to a $1. And we found that on average, people spent about 250 TT dollars monthly per service subscription. So we're looking at fixed voice, fixed broadband, pay TV or subscription television, bundled services together, and other ICT services. This slide shows a lot more information on the digital inclusion survey, and you can look at the details at your leisure. Similarly, this slide also shows the internet use among the population and lots of other information about Trinidad and Tobago. So what were the recommendations from the digital inclusion survey? First of all, I'll talk about ICT access. And we felt that one development area was the improvement in the levels of computer ownership that was required in Trinidad and Tobago. We also felt that we needed to promote usage of online services and government e-services and improve e-commerce, the e-commerce penetration rate also in our country. We also needed to improve the level of confidence using available online services. So trust and confidence was important to us. And as well, we have to expand the competences beyond basic ICT skills, enhance the levels of ICT certification in the country, and improve the mean years of schooling. So these were the recommendations that came out of the digital inclusion survey. Summary and outcomes. So we needed to and we are able to now measure the number of ICT users in Trinidad and Tobago, determine the extent of the digital divide within Trinidad and Tobago, benchmark the progress of Trinidad and Tobago's ICT development against other countries, identify population groups and geographic areas most at risk of being digitally excluded within Trinidad and Tobago, inform the choice of universal service and digital transformation initiatives at TATT, support the country's Vision 2030 and macroeconomic goals and the National ICT Plan. And of course, we got data to support international obligations such as the UN Sustainable Development Goals and ITU Connect 2030 agenda. So, what are the projects, policies, and initiatives that will drive digital transformation and inclusion? So these are some of the things that we've been doing as an authority in emerging areas and disruptive type technologies. We've developed net neutrality principles and rules. We've looked at over-the-top technologies, OTTs, and its impact on the industry, online streaming services and applications such as illicit streaming devices and internet radio services. We've increased spectrum availability and reformed spectrum management. We've promoted digital inclusion, and we've tried to close the access gap through universal service initiatives. And we've collaborated with the industry on utilizing new technologies for network resilience, Internet of Things, and 5G. The authority has determined a number of universal service projects and initiatives, all aimed at bridging the digital divide. The Persons with Disabilities Initiative was launched in February 2020, and the objective is to ensure that persons with disabilities, PWDs, have access to basic telecommunications mobile services and to make ICTs more affordable. The project provides persons with disabilities with a subsidy of up to 600 Trinidad and Tobago dollars for the purchase of a mobile phone. This project has been fairly successful, with so far just under 2,000 persons with disabilities applying and accessing the grant. The Caribbean Video Assistance Project, CVAS, was launched in tandem with the PWDs initiative. The aim of this was to enable PWDs to not only call each other and communicate directly, but to also speak with agents doing sign language interpretation, who will relay conversations between them and hearing parties. The National Wi-Fi Initiative, branded as TATT Wi-Fi, was also launched in February 2020 and involves the implementation of free public Wi-Fi at specified locations, including public transportation hubs, national libraries, public health institutions, and public schools without connectivity, particularly primary schools, throughout Trinidad and Tobago. In fact, so far we have provided services to all national libraries, public schools, primary schools in particular, and a large proportion of the health institutions, meaning health centers and hospitals throughout Trinidad and Tobago. We have also provided services at bus terminals and the inter-island ferry terminals between Trinidad and Tobago. The aim of this initiative really was to make sure that those persons who were waiting at these institutions had the ability to access government services without having to pay. And that meant that they can download material, they can fill in forms, they can find out information about other government services without having to make any payment. And this service is available for up to a period of 2 hours. The provision of ICT-enabled devices and internet connectivity access services we provided to students in Trinidad and Tobago, and we provided a total of 10,000 ICT devices and internet connectivity to students who were experiencing challenges on the online learning environment. ICT Access Centers. We have started a program of implementing ICT Access Centers in rural communities in particular, and the authority has a responsibility to complete 5 ICT Access Centers, which we hope to complete within the next 2 years. And the ICT Access Centers is a means of bringing training and upskilling to rural communities, vocational training as well, via community centers training curriculum. The ICT Access Centers are also used for us to provide support to our Boys and Girls in ICT program that you'd hear about a little bit later on. And this has been very popular with a number of young people in these areas. And we have a broadband internet access infrastructure project in Tobago, which was recently completed, and that provided over 300 persons and families with access to ICT services and internet speeds of up to 1 gig. So these projects are very important projects to the Telecoms Authority of Trinidad and Tobago, and it's one of the ways in which we seek to bridge the digital divide and to reduce any infrastructure, affordability, and skill gaps within the population. Our consumer awareness and public outreach activities, and we have so far had a number of programs on consumer rights and obligations. And this activity took the form of a community outreach caravan at rural communities throughout the country. We've held meetings at community facilities such as community centers, regional complex, and community access centers. And in fact, we are currently having outreach activities at 3 centers this week at rural communities within Trinidad and Tobago. Our Girls and Boys in ICT Day that I mentioned earlier, both the boys and girls, and we call the boys event or the young men's event, Empowering Men, focused on entrepreneurship in ICTs in Trinidad and Tobago in 2024. These e-commerce workshops provided an opportunity for both young women and young men to learn how to design an online store that reflects their brand's unique personality and style without any coding knowledge. Participants benefited from advice on website optimization, personal branding, and marketing tips to help them promote their websites once developed. And these are very useful resources that you can use to find out a little bit more about Trinidad and Tobago and the work that the Telecommunications Authority has done towards digital inclusion and digital transformation. The Telecommunications Act will include our mandate and all the responsibilities and objectives that we're required to deliver. The National Digital Inclusion Survey that I mentioned, which took place in 2021 and the results of which we are currently implementing. The TATT Annual Market Report 2023. This market report is a very, very valuable document as it provides a lot of statistical information and detail on the telecommunications and broadcasting market in Trinidad and Tobago and our National ICT Plan 2018 to 22, and we also have a new plan that's also to be considered as a resource as well to find out more about Trinidad and Tobago. So with this and all the information that I've provided, I thank you.